Good morning. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. It is Bank Holiday Monday. The schools are shut. Everything is closed, but Bitcoin and myself, we are always here. So not expecting many people to show up today. But as you can see, I've had a haircut for the occasion. We have roast lamb planned for this afternoon. But before we begin, it is with great sadness that I announced that the Pope has passed away. The Pope has passed away about an hour or so ago. That is terrible news. So I did have Easter eggs on the front page and everything else. I didn't think it was very appropriate. So I have taken that off. Now, we have a lot to get through today, even though it's a bank holiday, even though you're still sitting there watching me at 11 o'clock in the morning, eating chocolate, drinking coffee, and wondering what I'm going on about. We have a lot to get through. It is, of course, charts day. We're going to go through some charts today. We're going to have a look at what Peter Brandt has had to say. We're going to look at some potential bullish news for Ethereum. Potential bullish news for Ethereum. We're going to look at Cardano. We're going to look at XRP, the main ones. Then we're going to look at Aptos changing its staking rewards. Then we're finally going to look at my favorite headline is Banker, and that is, of course, the EU are planning on introducing their CBDC because apparently it's absolutely essential now that they bring this in because if they don't, the world is going to end. So again, there's a line, again, we're only 2 minutes into the stream and my conspiracy theory hat is on. Politicians are we here? Politicians generate events to create new laws and regulations. That's probably the nicest way for me to put it. Okay, that's the nicest way for me to put it. And what they will do is potentially use Bitcoin and crypto to push through central bank digital currencies. Now, this might sound great to you because, of course, they're going to go off and get rid of all that money in your pocket, that dirty, stinking, horrible money in your pocket, put it into a crypto wallet. Fantastic, except they can control it. They can limit what you spend it on, and they will use the powers to block you. And I'm not going to say more than that. I've covered that for the last 2 years in various different ways. Right then, how is the crypto market looking? Now, again, you know me, I am not going to come on here and tell you we're going to the moon when we're at 87,500. I am not going to tell you, or 87,000 should I say, I'm not going to come on here and tell you that we are going to go to zero when we're at 84,000. Okay, none of those things are true today. However, enjoy green days. We live very short lives, and I know I talk a lot about recency bias, and 87,000 and change looks really, really good. Everybody's super happy. But we were at 109,000 in January. Okay, so take all of these green days, enjoy them. It's a bank holiday, green day. Everybody's happy, but we've got a long way to go. Ethereum is coming in a very healthy 1650. XRP is coming in, getting back towards the price I want it to be, which is $2.50. BNB is back over $600. Solana, look at Solana, back over $140. USDC, Doge, the usual crowds are down there. I'm expecting to see some big green days today. Stacks is up. Decentraland, I don't know why Decentraland is moving, and I'm never going to go and find out why. Okay, I don't care about this project. I don't care about Sandbox. They have to do things to dramatically change what they do for me to care about them, because I think they are. You get yourself a great big tin and take your money, your paper money, while you've still got it, and Ursula Van Dress hasn't taken it off you. Put it in that tin can and set it on fire. because that's a better use of your money keeping you warm than buying Decentraland and Sandbox. In my humble opinion, and again, it's only my opinion. Move is up. It's there. I mean, come on. Why are we pushing these two coins? Injective is up. The gaming tokens are pumping today. Gala is up. Near is up again. Near. Listen, $4 is where I was getting into Near Protocol because I wanted to get into Near Protocol. It's an absolute steal at those prices. I don't care what happens to the market. That's an absolute steal. Sui at $2.27 is not too bad. Celestia, where are the days of $20 Celestia? It's gone by the way. Aptos is up. Again, we're going to talk about that in a little bit. What losers do we have other than stable coins today? Not many. Koi's down a touch. For Jasmine, not really a lot of losers today. It's a green day. Let's not be so Debbie Downer on a day like this. In fact, I'd better find my chat so I can see who's here, because I'm not expecting many people to be here today. Not expecting many people to be here at all. Good morning, Jan. I hope you are well on this Bank Holiday Monday. KB is here. Good morning, KB. You're all going to get your own personalised good morning. Think of this as Vimeo or whatever that thing is. You're all going to get Tariq, good morning to you. Danny is here, good morning. Hidden Agendas is here. Mags is here, good morning. Velvet Rope is here. Again, I am surprised anybody is here, given that you're all probably still eating eggs. When I try to become, it goes a green market. Tariq, that's the thing. When you come on here and you want to sell because you think it's going to go down, go and buy. When you come on here and it's a green day, as it is today, okay, and let's look at a scenario for you, because we've got all the time in the world, haven't we, today, because it's a bank holiday. Let's say you bought Solana at whatever we got down to. Was it 106, 110,000? Sorry, $110. And I said to you, $100 to $110 is the time to buy Solana. Now, had you bought Solana at $110, you'd be up, what now, 25%? Okay, it's not a massive gain, okay? But if you'd have put $1,000 in, you'd now have $1,250. Now, you know what today is? It's a Bank Holiday Monday, which means the Easter eggs are on sale. They'll be half the price they were yesterday and the day before. So maybe take $100, $200 of your gains, cash out, run down to your local Hotel Chocolate or Tesco or Sainsbury's or whatever you've got and go and buy yourself some half-price eggs, because that's doubling your reward, isn't it? You're spending some profit to buy half-price eggs. That's what we want to do. So that's what I would do if I was you, Tariq. Go and get yourself some profits. I am well. When I'm not working, I'm always present in your lives. Exactly, Mags. Exactly. And again, I'm in no rush today, simply because it's a bank holiday. I don't want to rush through everything. You know, work head is still on, but I want to relax today. And because it's a bank holiday, we're going to have a little nature video to start the show off, because not everything can be charts and numbers and lines. Sometimes we have to touch grass. You can't touch grass if you're watching me. Now, this is a big lump of jelly on the left-hand side that just so happens to be connected to an incredible mouth. And look, there's the bears. Shoo away, bears. And there's the bull. So the bull's coming out of the water. It's going to go and get rid of the bears. That's a signal to you that you are going to have a great day. Who doesn't like to see a hippo and a crocodile or an alligator having a fight on a Monday morning? I certainly know I do. Right then, let's move on very quickly. Where are we up to now? Let's get on to some serious things. Solana has overtaken the entire Ethereum ecosystem in 24-hour decentralized exchange. Trading volume now processing more than Ethereum and all its layer 2s combined. I have switched to somewhat of a more bullish attitude towards Ethereum in the last 48 hours. And I'm going to show you why later on in this stream, why you should also consider switching to bullish. I have been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks for Taletcast to go, and they have to do something, because a race to zero is only going to lead to one thing, and that is Solana absolutely decimating everybody else. Solana will win. Remember was it Henry the Fourth, Fifth, or whatever, when he had the fight on the field and he waited for it to rain, and all of his soldiers had sticks, and the other team, they had all that heavy metal armor, and because it was a quagmire, the heavy metal armor lost. But if it was a dry day, the heavy metal armor would have won. Ethereum is heavy metal armor, and Solana is men with sticks. And Solana is dragging everybody into a fight in a mud bath, and Solana will win. You cannot race Solana 2-0. You will lose on every metric. And this, if this was at a football league table, okay, this would be Liverpool with a 30-point lead. This would be City 30 points behind, 40 points behind, 50 points behind. This is a spanking of the ages, okay? And Ethereum is just taking it, okay? It needs to change. And what Vitalik has announced, hopefully he's going to announce as he's walking out the door, is probably going to save Ethereum. So we shall see. I am well, thank you. I am having a bit of a rant this morning. It is allowed. Now, of course, one of the big things that we like to do is we like to partner with people that we don't think are scammers or pump and dumpers, which is why we have WolfSwap, which is why we have Maple, and it's why we have Mew. And I tell you this all the time. Mew, they turn up. They go to places, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in Saudi Arabia, whether it's in Japan, whether it's in Korea, they are there, okay? And this is video evidence that that token that you see on the screen is out there. Now, a few days ago, they were the top traded token, meme coin token, on Solana, okay? They are out there grinding. And when the bull run comes and people look at those tokens, which token should I get? Popcat, or should I get Turbo? Should I get Gotius Maximus? I know. And they look up, and on the side, they've got their Mew plush. They're going to go and buy Mew. They're out there grinding 500 people at a time. If they get 50,000 people or 30,000 people at these events to buy into the Mew idea, that coin is going to rip, okay? Because they're getting the OGs in. Now then, Dan, back in the day, I used to hold dozens of coins, but the reality is that if you have a few concentrated coins with good conviction, you're generally better off, especially this cycle. In other cycles, you could get away with spray and pray. Don't want to go down that analogy. My main exposure remains Bitcoin and ETH, and outside of that, I rotate in and out of some of the mid-to long-term holds as we go. Now, again, he's not preaching to me. I am already the converted, and this is what I say to you. I think a sweet spot is 6 to 10 tokens, okay? Bitcoin should be at least 50% of your portfolio. So if you've got £1,000 or €1,000, you should have £500 in Bitcoin, 500 euros in Bitcoin, okay? Now, had you done that for the last 2 years, you'd have outperformed the market. There will come a time in the not too distant future where interest rates come down, risk on assets become desirable. You can then start to look at other coins because Bitcoin will start to underperform the market. But long term, hold 50% of your money in Bitcoin minimum. Now, Ethereum, it's very hard for me at the minute to tell you you need to be holding Ethereum, but you have to trust the process. I've said it 100 times, and what I'm going to show you later is hopefully going to give you some more faith in Ethereum. Ethereum isn't going to go anywhere. Everybody will always tell you, Man United are finished, Man United are going nowhere. Man United have the 3rd or 4th highest budget in the league. At some point, they are going to come back. Liverpool were garbage for about 15 years. They were mid-table. They were awful for years, okay? They came good, got a decent manager, won the league because they have the resources behind them. Manchester United have got incredible players in their team, but they don't play well in that formation and they're having a bad season. Maybe it's a bad 6 seasons, but their time will come again. Ethereum's time will come again. It is massive. Now, if it stays on the path that it's on with Vitalik in charge and them not doing anything proper, eventually it's going to get flipped. Absolutely. It will get flipped by XRP, it will get flipped by Solana. But there's too much behind it that we've talked about on here that makes me think it's finished. And what's going to happen is Ethereum is going to take you to the edge of that cliff, and it's going to give you a push, and you're going to fall backwards, and it's going to grab you by the tie or your scarf, and it's going to pull you back. And then it's going to be at $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 before you know it. And you're going to look at your bags and you're going to say, why did I sell my Ethereum? And then you're going to come on here and you're going to tell me I sold my Ethereum at $1,500 or $1,200. And I'm going to shout at you, okay? I'm going to shout at you. They say you're an idiot, okay? Why? Because the narrative in the press is the same as a playground. So two kids have a fight. The media, they're the people that stand on the side and go, ooh, he can't really, right? That's what the media are. They're just playground idiots. And they will jump on every single bandwagon there is. Dave's a bit fat, isn't he? Don't like Maggie's haircut. It's exactly the same as, oh, Ethereum's not doing very well, is it? Ethereum's a bit crap. And yes, I do call out Vitalik because I call out Vitalik. I don't think he's the man that should be in charge. Good morning, Bullish Bull. I hope you are well. Welcome to the stream. Say hello in chat if you are here. Don't forget to subscribe. We are at 200 and, what are we now? 207,000. That's creeping up. Title of the day, Easter Joy. Again, I wrote that last night before the pump. Just want to put that out there. I wrote that before the pump last night. And we know why the pump is happening, by the way, and I can't really mention it too much, but there is a belief that the Eastern European crisis is going to come to an end. Now, this is for Solo Sky. If Solo Sky asks me one more time if we're going to have staking rewards to claim on a jump off a cliff, Solo Sky, you are psychic, because this only happened a few days ago. Jupiter has had its latest ASR rewards. I went and claimed mine. I got 288 Jupe, which at the time is about, what, $140 for free. Didn't cost me a penny. What did I do? I've let them stake. They're staked there now. And I voted 5 out of 5 times, so I get my full allocation. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, it's a decentralized exchange on Solana, which basically allows you to go and vote on various different things, and they reward you every 3 months with a bag of money. Very simply put, they bribe you to vote. Right, we're going to move on. We're going to talk about some charts. Now, this is, I don't know why we do this on a Monday. I really don't know why we do this on a Monday. Maybe we should do it on a Friday from now on. But this is the chart section. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others. Liquidation levels, 200 million, a drop in the ocean. As you'd expect with the pump, the shorts have got taken out. Nothing really to report on here other than, is it a short squeeze? Possibly. Have we broken out? Absolutely not. Is recency bias kicking in? Absolutely. We've got a lot of things to look at. We'll go through them as quickly and easily as possible on this Monday morning, so you don't have to. Hopefully what you've done is you've rolled over in bed and you've landed in your pile of Easter eggs, so you've just eaten it out of your hand, and I am in your ear. That is all I want. Now, this is a price I thought I would never see before. This is the DXY. And we are now, we are coming down. I would expect within the next 2 to 3 weeks to see this do that. Anything that comes down like this goes up as fast. There's one, there's another, there's another, there's another. Now, is this a structural change to the global economy? Not yet. This is Donald Trump giving it the big nuts, giving it the big one. He's walked up to the table with Z, he's put everything on the table, and he said, come at me, bro. And Z is going to have a trade war with Trump. And I think we're going to get some kind of deal. I think we're going to get some kind of deal out of this. Don't know what kind of deal, but I'm sure Trump will claim victory, China will claim victory. And once that's over, the rest will fall into place. Ursula van Dress, or whatever she's called, the clown in the EU, she's going to come out and say that Trump's a very naughty man, but we're going to agree with him because we're allies. Some nonsense like that. Keir Starmer is going to put down Ali, stop kissing Ali, and he's going to get on with getting the trade deal for the UK. The UK doesn't have a bad trade deal with America, by the way. It's 10%. That's it. And that's quite reciprocal. So I don't think that's a bad deal at all. But this is not going to stay at 98. It's not going to stay at 98. It's going to go back up above 100. This was a news-based. I mean, if you look down here, I can't see anything really. Maybe that one there. Maybe that drop is the same as that drop. There's very few times it happens in a year or in a decade, because this is the DXY. This is the strength of the American dollar against the pound, the euro, the yen, all of those. So this isn't something that's volatile. So when you do see something like this, it's normally a news-related item. COVID was a perfect example of how markets can just drop 20% in a week. They don't normally do that. They normally go up 7 or 8% a year, have a correction of about 15%, and then carry on their merry way as the money gets printed. So to see this kind of drop, it's not artificial, but it's certainly a manipulated drop. And America will then start to see a recovery in their price. I'm eating Easter eggs. Exactly, you should be eating Easter eggs. If you're not eating an Easter egg right now, and you're not lactose intolerant, what are you doing? Eat Easter eggs. Why is this keep appearing on my screen? Okay. This is the total market cap of crypto. And removing my lines, I feel like Paul Daniels sometimes. Here is a line I prepared earlier. Now this is 2024. That says 2624. 2024, okay? We came down and we touched it inappropriately. And now we're back above it. And we have to get up here. It's a big jump. It's a big jump. It's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. That is a 20% jump. So the entire market would have to go up 20% to get back above the bull market support band. And we haven't been up there since February, which is a month after the inauguration. So we've got a lot of work to do. We're below the bull market support band. Now, if we look at crypto, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, we're going to see something similar, but slightly different. Similar, but slightly different. You know, I've got no Easter eggs to eat up here. I've got no Easter eggs. All I've had to celebrate Easter up here is a custard cream. That's all I've had. A custard cream and a coffee. You can tell I've had the coffee. Now then, same thing again. I don't know why I've got OP. Maybe I've done something I don't know about. Right. This is slightly different, is that we came down below the 2024 high and we bounced off this kind of pre-summer, the pre-summer one. So what we have now is we've got a bounce back up to the line. Now, if we bring this down a little bit further, we have, yes, broken above this line, and we did get a lot of resistance at this line on the way down, but now we've broken it, and what we're doing now is we're retesting 2024 summer highs. So this basically means that crypto, excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum, is not performing as well as Bitcoin and Ethereum. That's all it means. And of course, you would expect that in a bull run, when Bitcoin is ripping up trees, it's what you would expect. it is absolutely what you would expect. Right, moving on very quickly. We have a lot of these charts to get through. Good morning. If you are new here, say hello in chat. We don't bite, especially on a bank holiday Monday, although Jan is eating her Easter eggs at 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't blame her. This is the last one we're going to look at here, I think, before we start to look at the news. This is just the money supply. Again, this doesn't really move from time to time. And it doesn't really move from time to time, but we are getting back up towards, ever so close. This white line here is the total money supply. And we saw the sell-off, and now we're probably, I'd say, a month away from breaking all-time highs for the money supply. Money supply go up, Bitcoin price go up. That's all you need to know. Now we've seen where we're at. We're going to look at the Bitcoin chart in a minute. I'm going to give you some super bearish news. Peter Brandt has unveiled his end-of-year downside price targets for the S&P 500, Bitcoin, and Ethereum. Now, again, the same I would say if we were going to talk about Rich Dad Poor Dad. The same I would talk about if we're talking about me. Same if we talk about Altcoin Daily, or if we talk about Ben Cowan. They're only people's opinions. Okay, we said this last week. Gary Neville said Man United would finish 4th in the league. They're like 8th from bottom of the league. Just because you talk on something on a camera or in a news article, it doesn't make you an expert. Now, there will be people during this bull run that nail the price, and then for the next 3.5 years, they're going to live off that glory. We saw this in the previous bull run, and you see people like this. Peter Brandt, the man who predicted the 1998 XYZ, the man who predicted the 2009 XYZ, because they live off that past glory. It's like, you know, Conor McGregor, ex-world champion, Frank Bruno, ex-world champion. It's just they live off that glory. Now, I'm not saying that Peter Brandt is going to be wrong. What I'm saying is don't take everything he says as gospel. So he's given 3 price predictions. The S&P, he expects to come down below 4,500. And from my recollection, we're at what, 6? So what's that? A 25% correction to the downside for the S&P, he's predicting. Oh no, we're at 5,300. So he's expecting a 15% correction to the downside by the end of the year. Bitcoin, he believes we're going to $50,000 by the end of the year. Now, it's not his opinion. Let me scroll up so you can see. Not his opinion, but it's what the chart suggests as possible. The greatest get out in the history of people that do any kind of predictions. It's not me, it's the chart that's telling me. Now, could he be right? Of course he could be right. He could be absolutely right. He could have absolutely nailed this. We could be going to $50,000. Of course he can be right. It doesn't mean he will be right. So $50,000 Bitcoin, $4,500 S&P, and this is the best one of all. This is his best target of all. He has predicted that Ethereum will go to $600 by the end of the year. Wow. So that is a 60-70% correction to the downside. That is what he's predicting. Gold, he thinks we're going to go to 3,600. Goldfinger, the market with the magic touch. It's my kind of thing. Right, we're actually at 3,400 today, by the way. So gold is likely to hit 3,600, I would say, definitely. And then I'd expect gold to break down when everything is sorted. Now, again, in defense of Peter Brandt, what I would say is this is a snapshot of what he thinks at the time this was written. Now, if by the end of April, the Ukrainian crisis is over, interest rates are looking like they're going to come down, the trade wars are coming to a conclusion, then I would expect the market sentiment to be somewhere completely different than it is today. That's simply how I see it. Ducks in a row. We called them, if you remember, back in December, or was it January? We called them Donald's Ducks. I know it's catchy. I know. I'm in the wrong profession. I should be writing headlines for a tabloid. But Donald's Ducks, low inflation, low interest rates, good trade balance, reduction in how much is spent on the American establishment, the institutions. What else does he want? That's pretty much it, I think. Trade, interest rates, inflation, pretty much everything else. Now, they're Donald's Ducks. Obviously, different countries have their own ducks. But if we get 2/3 of those, we are not going to see a 4,500 S&P. We're not going to see a 50,000 Bitcoin. And we are most certainly not going to see a $600 Ethereum. But at the time he wrote this, you have to understand, we still have wars. We still have high interest rates. We have the potential for inflation to go up again. We don't have all of Donald's Ducks. We don't have hardly any of Donald's Ducks. We've still got tariff wars going on. The DXY is crashing, which is good for the American economy because it makes the American goods cheaper. So, I'm not going to come back in 6 months and say Peter Brandt was wrong, because at this moment in time, it's actually not a bad idea to look at the bearish scenario. But my personal opinion is that we're not going to go there. Now, if we look at the Bitcoin chart, we're still not breaking out. As much as people will want to think we're breaking out, we're not. We're having a good run. What are we now? 87,000? This is slow. 87.4. Now, let's go and do a bit of zooming in so we can show you where we are. So these two lines show you the downward channel that we've been in since the inauguration of the Orange Man. Now, the Orange Man came in, buy the rumor, before he came in, sell the news. This is why people are making memes about wishing Kamala Harris was still in the White House. Even though we'd have played out probably exactly the same way had she been in the White House, because a lot of this is outside of her control and his control. Some of it is, obviously, the tariffs are in his control. Now, what did we do? We broke it. Number one. Number two, we had our little line here, which is the bottom of the bull market support band. And what did we do? We are currently inside the bull market support band. Can you feel it? Can you feel that we are inside the bull market support band? We have, on other occasions, attempted to get above this. Now, this is not some magical number. This is just a set of moving averages. Okay, as you can see, because the price has come down, this is starting to move down. So, 92.5 is the top of the bull market support band. I will hear no joyous noises out of chat until we are here. I do not want to hear Tariq talking about his Lambo or his Tesla. I don't want to hear that KB has ordered himself a $10,000 massage chair. I don't want to hear it until we're up here. Now, when we were down here and everybody was telling me that it's over, okay, I said to you, we can go up as fast as we come down. If you look at that movement, that is a very quick move down. This is a very quick move up. Bitcoin does not hang around. And when it does hang around, it hangs around for what feels like months and months. But we are looking like we are healing. So where do I want to see us get to? Well, there's a few lines on here I want to see us break. This one is 88, about 88.8. That's the first line I want to see breaking. The next line after that is 92. 88 and 92. Oops. They are the two lines I want us to break. If we come down, if it is more doom and gloom, why? Why is OP appearing on every chart? If we move down and we want, and not that we want, but if we get back in this range starts about, let me bring that line down a bit further. It's about 80,000. So as long as we stay clear of about 80,000, we are outside of this downward channel. And again, could this be a bull trap? Could this be the bears letting them get the price before they suppress it? Of course it can be. But at some point, you've got to admit that if the crisis in Eastern Europe comes to an end, that will be a massive amount of certainty added back into the market, because they don't like uncertainty. So we have to take that into account. We have to take into account as well, if Trump wants interest rates to come down, how is Powell going to cut interest rates if Trump is threatening a trade war which will push the prices up? So Powell has a magic finger to press to cut interest rates. The ECB have brought rates down. The UK, I think, has brought rates down. America's turned next. Is Powell going to cut interest rates whilst Trump is having a tariff war? I don't think he will. So there's a standoff. Trump versus Powell. I think Powell should not be replaced. I think he's done a good job. But if Trump wants, he can exert as much pressure as he wants to get rid of Powell. And I don't believe that's a good thing. I don't believe one person in any country should have absolute power, because absolute power corrupts absolutely. It will get to the point where Trump will become a dictator. And I don't like using that word lightly, because that's the word that the left use all the time. Oligarchy. They say all the time, oligarchy. They've been saying it for 40 years. We're not in an oligarchy, okay? We're in a society where the people with the loudest voices get heard the most, but not necessarily the right voices. That's the kind of society we live in. People that make the most noise, you shush them, and you just try and get on with your life. If Trump gets rid of Powell, who is standing in Trump's way? Because he is like a juggernaut. He's going through everybody. And again, big fan, prefer him to Biden, yes, but he comes with a lot of baggage. And I think if he does end the crisis, next week we will be at 92,000. That's just what I think, because it will be a massive relief. Anyway, this is the bullish news I'm going to bring you about Ethereum that I've been dangling like a carrot to a rabbit, which is quite applicable being that it's Easter. Vitalik Buterin floats swapping Ethereum's EVM for Risk V to boost scalability. Now, there's a few tweets to go along with this, which I'm going to show you. There's a lot of people with a lot more knowledge about what this means than I, who are very bullish on this. Now, the first one I'm going to bring up is AI XBT. Good morning, Kishan. Kishan, I need your Kronos chain wallet, not Kronos ZK, not Kronos POS. I need the Kronos chain address. Right, EVM dropping, EVM for risque architecture, proving times will get 800 times faster. Now, this is AI XBT. This is one of the three cryptos I told you about just when DeepSeek came out, and they all went to zero. It was Virtuals, AI XBT, and there was AI 16Z. They're the three that I still hold. Very, very small amounts. This is like an automated process. It's just telling you what it thinks. Now, Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin has proposed a massive network upgrade that could send Ethereum to over $10,000. I don't read into those prices, by the way. Transitioning the EVM to Risk V, modelizing the network's execution layer, tackling performance inefficiencies and reducing what does that word mean? I think he might be trying to say reducing the friction, devs' faith on Ethereum. Some believe this will future-proof Ethereum and maintain its dominance in smart contracts. Now, they are the two bits of bullish news from X. Okay, I make no bones about the fact that I don't really like this guy. I think he's one of the top 5 brains in crypto. I think he's a super intelligent guy, shouldn't be in charge of the chain. However, when it comes to tech, he knows his stuff, okay? He's talking about using risk V. It's radical and ambitious, and it could be the only viable path for significantly scaling Ethereum's execution layer, okay? Always read only viable path with a pinch of salt. It's the only viable path in his eyes. You hear politicians talking about it. We have no choice. There's always a choice. There's always a choice. And that's the lie they tell people. There is always a choice. And there is always a different way to do things. We had no choice. We had to do this. We had no choice. We had to do this. It's a lie. Of course, there are always choices in life. So Vitalik's saying this, in his defense, maybe it's the only viable path with the technology that they have available today. That may be where he is alluding to. But the other choice is you just keep it the way it is. That's another choice, okay? Sitting on your hands is a choice. Action is a choice. The Beam chain effort holds great promise for greatly simplifying the consensus layer of Ethereum, but for the execution layer to see similar gains, this kind of radical change may be the only viable path. He argues that in order to boost performance of Ethereum's execution layer, the network needs to boost the efficiency of the EVM proving process. Adopting risk V, pronounced risk 5, I prefer risky, an open source processing architecture compatible to its proprietary competitors like ARM and x86. Last time I saw x86, it was on my computer. That's how old I am. Could slash on-chain execution costs by as much as 100x. He argues, old-style EVM contracts will continue to work and will be fully two-way interoperable with new RISC-V contracts. How is it pronounced? RISC-V, yeah, contracts. Busterun's proposal considers supporting both EVM and RISC contracts. Again, I'm not going to read too much of this. Am I bullish on this? Yes, I am. Why am I bullish on this? Because they are taking decisive measures to fix what they believe to be the problem. Now, do I think that if BlackRock wanted to run a stock exchange on Ethereum, do you think they could run it directly on Ethereum at this moment in time? No. If they could have a system where they have a stock exchange that then rolls up those transactions, applies them to the Ethereum blockchain, that would work if they had something that allows them to scale like this. People look at it now and go, all right, okay, Ethereum, it's now 20 or 30 cents to process a transaction on Ethereum. Yeah, it is now. You add 10,000 transactions a minute to that chain, and suddenly everything's going to cost you $50. You want to sneeze? $50. Go to the toilet? $50. Watch this stream? $50. Okay? It becomes very expensive. We saw the land sale years ago, Ape Chain or Ape Coin, which is associated with Yuga Labs. Yuga Labs had a land sale, and it was costing like $2,000 a transaction, and it was ridiculous. So Ethereum has massive problems when transactions are tried to be processed directly on Ethereum. That's why they have layer 2s. But this, for me, I'm massively bullish. I think this will help propel Ethereum back. That's my opinion. I think this is massive news. I'm not saying he's admitting he's wrong. I'm saying that he has seen that there is now a better solution to his problem, and he's going to use that solution. Good morning, Marjit. I hope you're well. Nice shot video by Mike Brogan underneath. That was a joke video. So basically, just to give you a heads up, we're making some shorts for TikTok, and we're making some shorts. I'm going to stick them on YouTube as well. And basically, the Ethereum short was how many Ethereum do you need to have to be a millionaire in this bull run? And it was, I said, at $1,650, you need 900 or whatever it was. Okay, I think I actually said 625. And then I said, by the end of the 2030 bull run, to become an Ethereum millionaire, all you need is 625 Ethereum. You see? Because the price in 2030 will be $1,650. It was a joke. But we do it for attention on TikTok. Some of those videos over there, for crypto videos, they get like 5,000 views. Others get 300, 400 views. But we're just trying it. It's a bit of fun. It doesn't take us very long in the office. And we have a bit of a laugh doing it. So that's why we do them. Don't take our shorts seriously. Okay? Now, Cardano excluded from White House crypto discussions. Charles was excluded from the meeting. Event emphasised sustainable crypto regulation focused not short-term politics. Market remained stable. He was not invited. Despite this, again, I wouldn't worry too much about this. What the American administration have done is they've taken what they believe are the best crypto projects, got them in a room and told them what their role is going to be. And then they've gone away and they're being brought back in different batches. So a certain exchange is going to get a lot more of the ETF volume than goes to a certain other exchange. Another one of the blockchains is going to be looked at for governmental processing of the internal ledger, so it becomes more transparent. That's another one. We're talking about having an electoral system running off a different blockchain. So they've got everybody in a room, said, this is your role, this is your role, this is your role, go away. And then when they bring people back, they bring them back in the groups of those that are going to do that job. It's not a big Christmas party where everybody gets to go to every party and every event. It's not how it works. They're all grown-ups. Now, Charles is currently, what is he doing now? He's playing with ants or something. He's gone on a retreat somewhere with some ancient tribe. So he's a good person to follow on X because he's a little bit out there. I like him. So he is, of course, he's talked about this. I've watched some of his streams. The real importance lies in regulatory stability brought about by legislation, not who occupies the presidency. Again, makes perfect sense. Charles was the co-founder of Ethereum. We know this. Now, what I would say is the press are going to spin this, as they always do, to say that Charles is no longer invited to the party. That's how they're going to spin it. Charles has been ousted from the government. Donald Trump does not like him. Charles is finished. That's how they're going to spin it. And then when it's announced what Cardano is going to be used for, the press are going to come out with their amnesia and say, Charles is going to be the savior of the American presidency. It's going to bring forward a new golden era in voting or whatever they decide they're going to do with Cardano. Okay? It's rubbish. The only reason we have news articles on this show is so you, lucky people, don't get to see this for an hour, okay? Because, we have news articles as well because we want to show you that other people either have the same opinion that we do or other people have different opinions than we do. But we show you what other people are saying and then we agree with it or we disagree with it and then you get our opinions. Otherwise, I'm no better than Donald Trump. Listen to me. I'm the only voice that you need to hear. I'm going to tell you how crypto works, okay? Because if you want that, there's plenty of other people out there who sprout that crap on a daily basis, okay? The same way that certain exchanges want us to come on here and tell you precisely which cryptocurrencies to buy so they make money out of you. And we don't do that, okay? We don't do it. Simple as. Now, we're never going to change from that. We're never going to come on here and say, you have to buy this coin. You have to do this. And we're never going to BS you about a coin that we don't believe in. And we're never going to BS you about a coin because an exchange wants us to sell you a coin, okay? Now, that makes us less than popular. Believe it or not, it makes us less than popular. But guess what? I sleep really well at night by being unpopular. Now, XRP price sees bullish reversal as supply on exchanges dry up. We talk about Bitcoin on exchanges drying up. We've talked to you before about Ethereum on exchanges drying up. Drying up doesn't mean there's zero. It means that Bitcoin exchanges has gone from, say, 1.7 million to 1.2 million, okay? Now, that trend cannot continue. It cannot go to 900, 500,000, 200,000 because it doesn't work that way. As there is less and less to buy, the price goes up. Think about toilet rolls. Think about COVID toilet rolls. The less toilet rolls there are to buy, the more the price goes up. Hand sanitizer, the more the price goes up. If there is a famine, or not a famine, sorry, what's it called? A drought in Spain, as there was a few years ago, we suddenly started paying £15 for a bottle of olive oil. because of the drought. And now the drought has gone, and we're 2 years down the line, and that same olive oil is £6. Supply and demand. The supply of XRP on exchanges is falling. Now, it might not seem a lot to you. 2.73 billion on exchanges, you might say, well, that's an awful lot. I feel like, what's he called sometimes? A teacher. Right. So, this is the amount of XRP. If I click on this, it's going to really mess up the stream, isn't it? This is going to show you the circulating supply of the tokens. Oh, this is going to really hurt my laptop. Can you hear the pains and the screams? Right, so there is a 58 billion circulating supply. That's the number I needed from that, by the way. 58 billion circulating supply. There is 2.7 billion on exchanges. Now, quick math, as some rapper once said, 5% of the total amount of XRP are on exchanges. That is down from roughly, don't shoot the messenger, about 6.5%. So it's gone from 6.5% to 5%. That's a big drop. That's a big drop, okay? Bitcoin, again, going from 1.7 to 1.3 to 1.2. They're huge drops. So irrespective of there's still 1 million on exchanges, there's still 2.7 on exchanges. If the trend continues, then we're going to see a supply shock on XRP. Okay. Now, the price has been declining. We know the price has been declining. Buy the rumor, sell the news. XRP is still over $2. I think $2.50 is a great price. We're going to see a $3 XRP before you can blink. End of the bull run, I'm saying $5 to $7. I'm saying $5 to $7. If it goes to $10, I will be happily wrong. Okay. But I don't see it. It's too big a market cap. $5 XRP is a 100% increase from where we are today. I think that's a huge pump. Like if Bitcoin did that today, Bitcoin would be at what, $170,000? Obviously, it's a bigger market cap, so it'd be harder for it to do that. Ethereum would be at what, $3,300, $3,500? I just don't see a $10 XRP. I see a $5 XRP, or $7 at most. Now, it's dropping on exchanges. It's a good sign. When the supply of tokens on an exchange goes up, that's people ready to sell. When the amount of XRP or Bitcoin on an exchange goes down, that's people not expecting to sell. So it's like the canary in the mine. It gives you an indication of how people are seeing XRP and Bitcoin and Ethereum. If there's low supply and the supply is falling, they are taking it off exchanges and locking it away, or staking it in the case of Ethereum. So this is bullish news for XRP. Now the price, of course, the price is $2.20. I'm not going to bring up the chart. We don't have a lot of time to bring up the chart, but suffice to say, the next pump of Bitcoin is going to put XRP back above $3. And that's what I'll give you. $3. We're at $2.20 now. That's what, 30% increase. So XRP. Again, I just said a minute ago, I'm not going to tell you to buy a coin, but I'm not going to not give you price targets for certain coins. I think $3 XRP by May, given that potentially we're going to see a lot of these things getting closed and closure on things, I think that's a given. $200 Solana. If we get to $3, $3.50 on XRP, we will see a $200 Solana. We will see maybe a $2,500 Ethereum. We'll see a $95,000 to $100,000 Bitcoin. So everything moves up, some faster than others, some slower than others. And Cardano, I expect to be back over $1. Again, that's another one. But that's a 60% move for Cardano. But remember where we were in January. And then look at where we are now, 3 or 4 months later. Project it forward 5 or 6 months, we could be even higher than where we were in January, which is what we all expect. Now, Aptos proposal aims to reduce staking yields for economic adjustment. A lot of tokens do this. By the way, this thing at the bottom that's just flashing these prices, I saw this last night when I was preparing the stream. I've no idea. I think it's gone off. I think it's actually having an episode
I don't know what it's advertising. I don't care. But the prices are just all over the place. I think it's having an episode. I don't know whether to dial 911 or what. So they are going to cut the staking yields from 7 to 3.79%. Lowering staking yields proposal aims to improve capital efficiency, reduce inflation, and foster innovation. Now, I've seen this a few times, and one of the tokens we like on this channel is Moon. And Moon is the token of WolfSwap, which is a DEX. Very similar to Jupiter is a DEX that we like on Solana. Moon is the token of WolfSwap, which is on Chronos and Abstract and Polygon and a few others. Now, they also started to stop all of their staking rewards. They were dropping all the staking rewards are being stopped. Some of the vaults are being stopped. Now, this might seem from the outside bearish, but think about this. Every year that goes by, if you don't stake, you're losing a roughly 7% of the value of your tokens if the price, if the market cap doesn't change, because there's more tokens, so the price goes down. If you've got a token that's worth $1 today and it's got a 100% inflation rate, your token could be worth 50 cents, 20, 30 cents the following year because of the just sheer emissions that come out. So when you see something paying you 1400%, okay, that's either a very, very short-term thing to get you incentivized, but if it's a long-term thing, that token is going to go to zero. So you want to see, personally, in my opinion, look at Ethereum, it pays you about 2 or 3%. Well, if you look at the inflation in Europe and America, that's always about 2%. So it's kind of okay to have 2 or 3%. It can be absorbed. When you're getting up towards 7 or 8%, I think long-term it's going to do damage. Solana, good example. That needs to come down over time to 3-4%. You know, Polygon, when I first started farming Polygon, it was 12%. Now it's 3.5%. Over time, as the tokens get emitted and the token supply grows, you want to get to the point where this becomes the norm, 3.79%. So this, for me, is massively bullish news for Aptos. This is a sensible, grown-up, big boy decision. And again, I don't hold any Aptos. I am not certainly going to go out and buy Aptos based on this news. But if you're holding Aptos, this should make you feel a lot better for this because your tokens aren't being eroded. If you don't stake, you lose out on the staking rewards. It's kind of a problem. Right then, moving on. This is the last news article of the day. What time is it? 11:57. I said I was going to take my time, and we're still coming in at an hour. Right then, Big Brother, digital euro will substitute banknotes and bank deposits. The latest reports from the European Central Bank predict that digital euro will replace a portion of the banknotes in circulation, fundamentally reshaping how Europeans use money. Bank deposits will also be impacted. Now, the bank estimates that the digital euro has the potential to substitute 5 of every 10 euros issued in physical banknotes from circulation in the same way. The same study predicts that for each 10 digital euros issued, 3 will be removed from bank deposits. So it's a slow burn change to the way things work. Now, if the adoption remains low, 15 billion euros in banknotes would be substituted. If the reception gets to its highest level, 125,000 billion euros in banknotes would be taken out of the market. Now, we're not going to read more about that because I want to very quickly talk about this. And I want to basically explain the problem to you because we've got a couple of minutes at the end of the show. You know, close down the browser window now, so everything should be fairly okay. I'm not lagging too much. Really good light today, have you noticed? Really good light. So, what is wrong with a digital euro? What is wrong with a central bank digital currency that you've heard of before? What is wrong with all of these things? First of all, the benefits. It gets rid of an almighty amount of fraud. What is fraud? People who make banknotes out of plastic and then try and pass them off as real. All of that is a massive headache for financial institutions and governments, UK government, European government. It's a pain in the backside, and I agree. It's also really expensive to make money. There was a place in Scotland, I think, that used to print money. I think it's going to close down soon. They make money for other countries. Now, that is expensive. A good idea is if you buy £100 million worth of your currency, and that's going to cost you about 2 million quid. So it's going to cost you 2% of your supply already. It's cost you money. You've then got fraud. You've then got wastage. You've got supply issues. Money, physical money, is really outdated. It's outdated. It should be something that should be confined to the history books, where in 30 years' time, 40 years' time, your grandkids go to school and the teacher stands there and says, did you know, children, that in the 2000s and 1900s and 1800s, they had bits of metal in their pocket that they would exchange for goods. And those kids would laugh, okay? Because that's how it sounds. The same way that you look back at the Wright brothers trying to fly that plane, or the penny farthing bicycle, or any of those things from history we look back at and we laugh at. The kids in the future are going to look back at us and laugh at the fact that we had bits of paper and bits of metal in our pockets. Oh, and those bits of metal, by the way, they only work in a particular country. And if you cross a border, they don't work in that country. You need different bits of metal. If you say it, you realize how stupid it is. But that's not the problem. The problem with central bank digital currencies is that they use smart contracts. It is controlled money. They will stop you from sending money above a certain threshold. They will stop you from depositing money with a certain threshold. They will stop you holding a certain amount of money in your wallet above a certain threshold. All of those things are controlled by the banks. Now, if you're worth £10 million, who should tell you what to do with that money? I don't believe anybody should tell you what to do with that money. They will tell you what to do with that money. The issue isn't the digital currency. It's how it will be controlled by people, governments. We talk about this all the time. The Canadian truckers who protested, their bank accounts were frozen. The bank accounts of the people that donated to them were frozen. Imagine you've got a central bank digital currency and you say something that nobody likes. Your account gets frozen. Your doctor tells you you're overweight. You can't buy fast food anymore using your money. Doctor tells you you're an alcoholic. You can't buy alcohol anymore with your money. Okay? Now, is that for the betterment of you? Yes. Do I believe in free will? Yes. Free will and your decision to eat or drink what you want trumps anything else as long as it is legal. Of course, as long as it is legal. And when Ursula van der Drost brings this in, it's going to be a nightmare. And it's going to be brought in the UK, it's going to be brought in everywhere. And America turned around and said, we are not having any of this. And we should all listen to them because it starts off so simple. It starts off as a great idea. And then over time, your rights get eroded. Okay? What happens if all money becomes digital and they don't want you to leave Manchester? You get in your car, the car won't start because it won't let you go to Leeds. Or if you're in Paris and you want to drive to Berlin, it says, I'm really sorry, but your credit score isn't high enough for you to leave the country. You've got an outstanding loan fine. You can't leave the country. You go to a petrol station, it won't give you petrol. You go to plug it in to get charged, it won't let you charge the car. This sounds like George Orwell, but I'm taking it to the nth degree to show you where we could end up. And if you believe anything of what I've just said is nonsense, everything I've told you has come straight out of articles about China. It's already there in China, and we're not going to become China. Of course we're not, but we're going to get some elements of it. And I don't believe anybody should tell you what to do. And that's why if you hold money, if you hold crypto, you should hold Bitcoin. Bitcoin is uncensorable. Nobody can touch your Bitcoin. If you hold US dollars, as we saw last week, they can be frozen. If you hold USDT, it can be frozen. Okay? Be very careful what you wish for. You might think it's a good idea, but governments manufacture emergencies to bring in more and more laws. Find out, I bet you right now that your government brought in laws 4 years ago that they haven't rescinded. They brought in laws, emergency powers, about what happened 4 or 5 years ago. They've brought laws in, and those laws are still in place. Okay? That's where we're at. Anyway, enough of this. We're not that kind of channel. We're supposed to be talking about crypto. Thank you everybody for tuning in. It's been Monday. It's been Monday. Thank you. I will see you all on Tuesday. This week, by the way, very quickly, I'm streaming Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Wednesday night, we have an interview with somebody. So I'm streaming Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday this week. And the Oracle will be back on Friday. Have a great bank holiday weekend, guys. See you all soon.